Hello, and welcome back to Civic Concord, a podcast where we share information, highlight important topics, and hear directly from people involved in town government. This is a Minuteman Media Network production. I'm here at the studio with Concord's Library Director, Emily Smith. Welcome. So can you start by giving the listeners an overview of the Concord Free Public Library and its mission?
Sure. So the library was founded about 152 years ago in 1873. It was by the generosity and the vision of William Monroe, who was a Concord native who made his fortune in dry goods and textiles and then wanted to give back to the community. So when he purchased the land that he wanted to put the library on, they had to move a house out of the way, and then he worked with the town to establish a private nonprofit corporation that would own the building and grounds with the agreement that the town would provide the staffing and some of the book collection. And this was kind of a unique public-private partnership at the time and continues to be a public-private partnership that we haven't found many other examples in Massachusetts that are quite like we are. So all of the library staff are employees of the town. We all work for the town, but the library buildings and grounds are all owned by the Library Corporation. And so the most recent renovation in 2021 was mostly privately funded, which is pretty incredible. Most libraries go through a process for funding things more municipally or through grants through the state. So we were able to do quite an stunning renovation quite quickly during COVID.
It is incredible.
Which makes us fairly unique. But our mission is to inspire lifelong learning and to actively promote personal enrichment by connecting community members to information, ideas, culture, unique historical resources, which I'll tell you more about, and each other in a tradition of innovation and excellence. Our short version is where ideas develop. But that's pretty much, it's connecting people with information and each other.
Great. So you mentioned the renovation, and it made me think, one of my questions here is how has the library evolved in recent years to meet the changing needs of the community? And I was thinking about the makerspace and some of the new resources that you have. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, so our library has grown. The main library's grown by about 20% in just the last 4 years as far as square footage. We acquired the house next door that was actually predates the library itself. It's older than 150 years old.
Wow.
We now call that building the Library House. And in the bottom of that library house, we have the workshop, which is our makerspace. Part of our mission of speaking as a public library, part of our mission is to connect the community with each other. So during COVID, a lot of the social connection that people had was sort of difficult to make that connection in person. Right. It often can be difficult if you're an older adult and you feel isolated, you don't know how to, you're not really going to a bar to meet people necessarily. And libraries can fill in that gap. So one of the ways we do that is lectures. We do book groups. That's like traditional library work. But in the past decade or two, libraries have done more creative things like creating makerspaces where you can learn how to knit or sew or use a 3D printer or a laser cutter. We offer classes where you can take an introduction to how to use our laser cutter or a very specific class on you will be making coasters, and we show you soup to nuts how to make it in one session. But while you're there, it tends to, when you're learning something with other people who have no idea what they're doing at the same time, you tend to make friendships and connections, find out someone's your neighbor. So part of that new addition to the library was actually the purpose of it is both the actual making and learning, but it's also that reknitting that social fabric and connecting people with each other in our community in a unique way that maybe not everyone wants to do a lecture. Some people may want to learn more with their hands or be creative or express themselves creatively. And it's not about making something perfect. It's about making something that is your own. So anyone can do it. And it's really fun. There's really something for any age, any interest level in the workshop itself, as well as in the whole library. And then we have our new children's library. So we used to have a children's room, which was wonderful, but fairly small, and we were really limited at the size of our collection. Now we have a whole large children's library at the main library. So our collection is spread out through that area. We've got an activity room for doing smaller story times and different groups, different classes for our youngest audience. We also have a new garden with a new Hobbit house that is adorable. It's a little playhouse for kids, as well as we have a sculpture in the backyard of Millie, our duck. that was given to us by the Mill Dam Nursery School in honor of their anniversary. And then we have a whole sort of cafe style area. We don't serve food or drinks, but people can bring them in from our local community. And it's a great cafe seating area for having a snack while using library resources or your own laptop to do a Zoom call. So all of that was made possible by this renovation. In addition, we expanded our vault downstairs in special collections, and we share that space with the town archivist and all the town records. So half of the space downstairs is some of our vital records for the town, some dating back to the very early days of the town, which is really cool. And then the other portion of the space is the holdings of the William Monroe Special Collections, which is privately owned by the Library Corporation. And I can tell you more about that. That is also extremely exciting and very unique to us.
It's so interesting to hear about the renovation had so much to do with trying to create more space for the community. And I think about libraries as there aren't many places that you can go as a third space that isn't your home that really no one's asking you to buy anything, right? It's you don't have to buy a cup of coffee to sit there and do anything. And it's such a welcoming place and adding different, like you said, the cafe seating and different places for people to learn is such a benefit to the community.
Yeah, I would also add that our Goodwin Forum, which was the children's room, but now has been expanded and is a meeting room space, which we didn't have before. Prior to the renovation, we would have programs in our rotunda, which is our quietest end of the building. So it would typically be after hours so that we didn't disturb those who wanted a quiet space in the library. But now we have a room that can seat up to 144 people. And the purpose of that room is for civic engagement and having conversations. So one of the roles of a public library is to be a safe space where people can express a diversity of views and come to have a conversation with a neighbor to try to learn more about why someone else might hold a particular view. And that's why we have the Goodwin Forum. We're hoping to continue to host lectures by all sorts of different academics, people, scholars, authors.
It's kind of hard to believe. I came to Concord in 2023 that the Goodwin Forum hasn't been there all along. Because
I know, right?
I spend a lot of time there in municipal meetings and conversations, and I don't know where things took place before, but it's a critical resource for the community, that's for sure.
Yeah, we really enjoy programming that space. It's lovely because at one point you'll see, kids were decorating pumpkins. Then we had an author talk. Then we have, like a public meeting for one of our other departments. Within a 24-hour period, it is quite a range of programming, and then we clear it all out and have musical Mondays where we have kids dancing through the room. It's awesome, all in one space.
And the Fowler Library is so incredibly beloved by members of the community, especially in West Concord. And I was just there for a meeting recently, and they had this great art display on the walls. And so what's new at Fowler?
So Fowler Library actually is one of I think it's a particular gem in West Concord. We have several gardens at Fowler. So we have 2 pollinator gardens and a vegetable garden. So one of the things that you can do at Fowler that you can't do at Maine is as you walk in, you might be lucky enough to score some delicious vegetables from our garden. So we'll have kids trying ground cherries and, tomatoes and things that they normally probably might not try when their parents ask. But because it's at the library, we'll see them be like, I will try that green bean. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, Mom, I like green beans, which is pretty amazing. So those the 3 garden spaces are unique to Fowler. And then we really do a lot of community programming down in the community meeting room downstairs. It's a smaller space than Maine, so it's a little bit more intimate. But we have cookbook club there, which has grown to be very popular. It's sort of a potluck. And man, it is a feast when you go to Cookbook Club. We have different programs for kids. We have Lego Club is very popular on Fridays.
Oh, right.
Where kids make Legos and then they display them in the display cases at the top of the stairs, and they get to put a title with their name with their Lego inspiration. We do a lot of crafts activities as well. So we often have, painting silk scarves, or, we do a lot of upcycling of things. So we do take up parts for wreaths after the winter holiday season, and then we'll save the frames and make them into wreaths for Pride or other. We did wreaths for the 250th. So a lot of that programming that we do at Fowler is with an eye to sustainability, and we can use a lot of the resources around from the gardens and the flowers to make things, which is pretty cool.
That's a great segue. I was going to talk about sustainability next, and this is a a critical value for the town of Concord. And I think that most employees really would say some of their job touches sustainability. It's really built into the fabric of what we do. But the library in particular is significantly contributing to sustainability goals in town. And I know there's been a lot of work done recently in that area. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, so a few years ago, we started trying to pursue the Sustainable Libraries Initiative to be a certified sustainable library. So we wrote our sustainability plan in 2020 to follow the town's climate action plan. And then one of our goals was to become a certified sustainable library. And a lot of the goals in that initiative were the same as the goals we had in our plan. So we explored composting because we didn't have any composting, and we knew the town had a pilot program, but we weren't quite sure how would we compost at the library. So 4 years later, we now have commercial compost pickup at Maine. Any programs we do, we as library staff, we make sure that we compost any food waste, and we use compostable silverware and plates. At Fowler, they actually, the program size is smaller, so they actually use reusable plates and silverware and wash them between programs.
That's great.
And we're working on getting a dishwasher to help make that a little easier. We also researched recyclable receipt printer paper for our checkout receipts when you check out books. So we also use those for our hold slips. So we can't go completely paper free. We typically don't provide checkout receipts anymore because people can check out their due dates online. But we still use quite a bit of that receipt paper, and it actually has the original receipt paper we were using has a coating on it, making it not recyclable.
Wow.
So our staff did a ton of research, found out there is a recyclable option. It's a little bit more expensive, but we stopped automatically printing receipts for everyone. So our use went down. So we were able to afford the slightly more expensive but recyclable paper. And we also did an initiative to label all of our trash cans. These are all things that people can do in their own homes, is research, recyclable options for their paper use, figure out how to do curbside composting. We figured out how to do better labeling of our recycling and trash containers so that guests coming to the library would know where to put recycling and what kinds of recycling you could put in each container. And then training our cleaning company how to keep those items sorted so it didn't all end up in trash. And all those little things added up together help us as a library to be more sustainable and also to be hopefully a model for citizens on how composting works. They see that it's just part of our normal day-to-day when we run a program at the library. It's not maybe hopefully so intimidating.
Yeah. At a recent meeting at the Fowler Library, we were talking about sustainability work in the library and some of the planning that you're all doing. And it was interesting to me to think about the folks that come into the library that are just, like you said, looking for information for different things and how you're providing consumer reports and connecting them to resources, connecting them to our CMLP if they're looking at heat pumps. And I think this is a very educated population here, and they are always interested in learning, it seems like. And starting at the library for some of these major projects seems to be really common. Yeah,
we have been hosting every other year a Cooler Concord Climate Festival on the front lawn usually around April. We took a break last year because of the 250th, but that's an opportunity for us to help showcase the work that Public Works is doing, the CMLP is doing. How do you get an electric vehicle? Do you want to sit in one? What does it look like? And ask questions of other experts in town. So we try to do that on a large scale with hosting that festival, but then on a daily scale as well, we have a climate action corner where we have all that information, and our librarians and staff know how to connect people with the websites that are available in town. We also host our I think one of our most popular sustainability initiatives is the winter seed sow that we do at local farms, where you take a gallon milk jug and turn it into a mini greenhouse.
Oh.
So we have a seed lending library where you can borrow seeds. Then you can go and learn how to make a mini greenhouse to start your own seedlings. And then we do workshops in the spring for how to then transfer them to plant them outside and make sure they're hardened off so they don't immediately die if it's a cold night. But that start to finish of how do you go from purchasing your produce to actually growing your own is really fun, really popular. We've had to add more and more of these winter seed sows, and super social. Everyone gets super excited about learning how to do it. And then they come back to the library to tell us whether their plants were successful, or sometimes they give back some of their tomatoes and things to show, I had so many tomato plants. They share them with us and we offer them out to the community. So it's really fun.
Well, there are some native plants that were being distributed at Ag Day from the library booth, and it's really beyond books. If you get anything out of this podcast, there's so much to offer.
We have a lot of fun. We like exploring and learning right alongside everyone with their interests, and sustainability has been one of our main initiatives and goals. So like you said, it's sort of embedded into all that we do, but it also, I think, inspires us to always check before we're doing something, is there a sustainable way to offer that program or service? So we have the Library of Things, which is circulating non-traditional items. So you can check out anything from like a karaoke machine to, a heat ray gun that lets you know what the temperatures are of the areas in your house. So you can see if you have insulation gaps. We have infrared cameras. We have all sorts of cool stuff that can help you. And you can borrow it from the library rather than purchasing it and then not, perhaps when your project's done, you don't need it and it goes into a landfill. We also have a puzzle swap, which is super popular. So as we get to the winter months, if you see storms a-coming, come borrow a bunch of puzzles from us. And when you're done, return them and your neighbors will use them too.
Just make sure you have all the pieces.
Yes, we do check occasionally. Or if someone returns one without missing pieces, it gets recycled. But we have so many puzzles. We have a magazine swap too, where people, when they're done reading their magazines, drop them off and others use them. So a lot of those things that are not it's not hard to do, but you think of folks just using their magazines and chucking them in the recycling versus it can have more life and get more use.
That's true. You've mentioned so many programs that the library runs and partners with other organizations. How do you decide what kinds of programs to offer?
We get a lot of requests from citizens for different kinds of programs, and we also know what is current in the news or what people are talking about and what people show up for. It's not necessarily the numbers that help us decide on programs because we may have a very small but very successful program. It's really like being responsive to the community demands and where we think the current interest is. In this community, we always have a good turnout for anything sustainability related, anything sort of about transcendentalism or Concord authors. So we're definitely always looking for those opportunities. And then we love partnering with other local departments or the League of Women Voters to offer educational opportunities about the topics that are coming up on town meeting or coming up for a vote. We would love to always be that place that people go to hear the diversity of views on a particular issue, knowing that everyone is welcome to ask questions and learn more about a topic. So there's never a limit. There's never a lack of opportunities for us. There's a limit to how many we can offer, but there's always more than we think we can fit into the library. There's more opportunities out there, more interesting programs.
What are some upcoming events that you're especially excited about? Anything coming up soon?
Yeah, so we're just wrapping up our Festival of Authors.
Oh, right.
So that's been really fun. Every October, in the second half of October, we do 2 weeks of programming about authors. They're typically fairly local authors from the New England area. That's been wonderful. We take a little bit of a break after that because it's usually a lot. So we'll be looking towards our winter seed sows are coming up. We have our holiday book sale coming up the first weekend in December. Our Friends of the Library have a 3-day holiday book sale with fabulous new items that a lot of folks come out and use to purchase for gift giving in the holiday months. And then let's see, what else do we have? We take a little break over winter break, but we do some programming for kids, for those that stay in town. So, yeah, and then we gear up for our new spring sessions.
Perfect. So there's so many things to learn about from the library, so many different classes and opportunities for all ages. I know you have a newsletter, you have an updated website. What's the best way for people to find out what's going on? Is it the newsletter, would you say?
Yeah, I would say both the newsletter and our events calendar on the website. Okay. And then for our workshop, we do have a flyer. We try to limit how much paper we print out to be more sustainable, but we do quarterly the classes for the makerspace. And some of our classes are so popular that folks are reserving exactly 2 weeks in advance when it opens up. So they like to have it printed out to know what time that is. But the newsletter, signing up for the digital newsletter, which shows up in your email box on Fridays, and then checking our website. And we also use our Facebook social media for any last minute impromptu opportunities that come up. So following us on Facebook is a great way too.
Okay, great. How do you see the library's role as a community hub evolving in the next few years?
So we consider ourselves sort of a hub for sustainability, but one of our more recent initiatives is being a hub for behavioral health. So the town staff meet regularly to talk about behavioral health issues and the resources available to the community. They meet at the library. We have a behavioral health corner with resources. The library also makes Narcan available at our both locations. And when we had COVID tests, we had those available as well. That funding has run out, so they're no longer available. But I see us continuing to pursue how can we help connect the community with those sort of resources for mental health and wellness that they might need, being able to partner with Concord Rec to be able to connect folks with CPR, AED, life-saving trainings that they offer, being able to connect with public health to make sure we help spread the word. If there's any health initiatives that folks need to know about, we'd love to amplify those messages and help connect the community with that. Providing opportunities to connect folks with social services. We do our best to connect citizens in need with those resources over in West Concord, veteran services, anything we can do to help make sure that if folks aren't sure who to go to in the town, you can always start with the library and we'll do our best to send you in the right direction. And that's something I think that we do well and will continue to do for always. But I'd love to be able to amplify some of that behavioral health, the mental health and wellness, because I know that's been a longstanding initiative that the town is focusing on as well.
And if you haven't listened back to our mental health episode, or we had a public health episode back in May for Mental Health Awareness Month. So listen to that if you want to hear from our health director and public health nurse. But there is a lot of connection between the library and health and schools and recreation and other agencies that meet on a regular basis to, be responsive to the community and find ways to support the people of Concord. So, Emily, what do you find most rewarding about leading the library?
Well, we have some amazing partner organizations. The Library Corporation has the trustees, and they are constantly working on fundraising to support the work they do at the library, constantly making sure our facilities are safe, well-maintained. They just do incredible work. And then we have our amazing Friends of the Library group that does their twice annual book sales. And that is we've heard that the lawn book sale in June is the biggest public library book sale in the Commonwealth.
How many do you have? So you have June and then you have a winter one. This is just the two.
Well, we have those two that are the big events, and then we have an ongoing book shop at both locations. It's more of a book cart at Fowler with an ongoing book sale, but there's still treasures there. And then as you come in the children's entrance at the main library, we have an ongoing book shop there as well.
Oh, okay.
But the two big sales are the first week of December and usually the first or second week in June. And the one in June is huge, thousands of books. It's amazing how many hours go into cultivating these books, organizing them by subjects. It's just an incredible volunteer effort, and it is such a fun day. And throughout the day, more books come out. So usually folks come and shop throughout the day multiple times.
I didn't know that.
It's so much fun. So, I mean, part of what makes my job so fun is working with people. And we have so many wonderful volunteers through the trustees, through the friends, people that volunteer directly with us, the folks that come in to use our resources, the folks that come in and ask a question, and then you end up signing them up for a really cool makerspace class, and they're like, I'm not crafty. And we're like, you don't need to be.
You can make coasters.
And then they come back and show us what they made, and they're so excited. And they come back, and then they do a 3D printing on their own. I was recently helping one of our local scoutmasters with talking about the laser cutter, and he was intimidated at first and wasn't sure he was going to use it, but he kept coming back to make name tags, first for all of his scout leaders, then for more of the boys and more of the boys. He is one of our MVPs of the makerspace, and someone who was initially not sure but kept sticking with it has become one of our most frequent visitors. So those kinds of human connections where you see somebody who's nervous, maybe learning something new, then gets really enthusiastic, then becomes an ambassador for the resources at the library. That brings a lot of joy each day. You can come into the library and there's something different every day. There's something new and exciting going on in the teen lounge. They're using VR headsets, which is kind of hilarious because it looks like they're just standing in a corner with their arms going out, but they're experiencing something with the VR headset on. Or you go by and there's, they're doing a really cool craft in the forum, and it'll be like 30 people doing a craft. A couple times we do makerspace classes in the forum so we can do a lot more people. And it's really neat to see. We had lines and lines of people doing a dragon craft. at the end of summer reading. Also, one of my favorite parts of working at the library is our summer reading program with the dragon trading cards. But we did making felted dragons that were bedazzled, and it was so cool to see all these people, all ages, making dragons at the end of the summer. So I think that really, that connection with people, the interesting experiences we have, the range of ideas and people coming through, it's so much fun. It's very rewarding.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I think if you don't stop into a library after listening to this, then you might find me in kind of the quiet section sometimes where I need to get out of my office and do a few hours of email. And that sometimes you just need to be around other people silently working. And there's a lot of value in that as well.
We do still have that. We have folks tell us they come to read the newspaper in the reference room because they want to be around people.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to other people, but they might just want to be around other people. We have space for that too.
It's really something for everyone. Well, thank you so much for coming and telling us about the work you're doing with all your partners and a great staff. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.